We are on a mission to automate the administrative work for sellers. Whether you're on like account executive or customer success or account management, client services, whatever you might describe that as. If you're working with prospects and customers, you spend usually about 75% of your time on administrative work, non-selling work. And the bulk of that comes in CRM data entry, which has all sorts of forms and flavors, and then also email.
AI note-takers are everywhere, but how do you know which one is right for your team? In this series, I'm going to be talking to the CEOs and co-founders of some of the top AI note-taking tools out there to learn about some of the more advanced features they offer. We're going to dive into things like their HubSpot integration, how easy they make it to customize the notes for different teams and use cases, how they handle data security and privacy, and other key features that really make them stand out. And why does that matter to Arrows? If you're syncing your meeting notes into HubSpot, Arrows can read that data and automatically suggest the right updates to your sales rooms. So you can update things like next steps, milestones, value props, and Arrows will even suggest new content that should be added to your sales room based on what you discussed in your meeting. All right, let's get into it.
Well, hey, Sean, thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to chat with you. Some quick kind of background on how we know about you. We were introduced to you a couple of months ago because we heard that there was this cool new tool in the HubSpot ecosystem. And so myself and Daniel, our CEO, connected with you, and we've been chatting quite a bit over the last couple of months just because we're both super tight in the HubSpot world. Because you have such a strong integration with HubSpot and you are thinking so deeply about that integration, I'm really excited to dig into the full demo and kind of see what's possible there, especially compared to other tools that might have a kind of lighter weight version of that integration.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if you want to get started with maybe kind of a intro to yourself, Customer IQ, and how things got started over there.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of CustomerIQ. We started the company about a year and a half ago. We've been in market for, I think, a little over a year now. But we are on a mission to automate the administrative work for sellers. Whether you're on like account executive or customer success or account management, client services, whatever you might describe that as. If you're working with prospects and customers, you spend usually about 75% of your time on administrative work, non-selling work. And the bulk of that comes in CRM data entry, which has all sorts of forms and flavors, and then also email. And so I think a lot of people are tackling this problem. We'll talk about today kind of how we're doing it a little bit differently. But we, a couple years ago, just realized that these new AI models could help automate a lot of this. And it's an easy problem to help solve for people because no one likes doing it. Yeah, we just kind of dove in and, like you mentioned, kind of went brick by brick and get in the weeds and the details, and that's what got us here today.
Cool. Well, if you want to share your screen and kind of take us through some of the features, we'd love to dig in there, and I might have some questions as you go too.
Sure, let's do it. So yeah, we'll go through kind of a handful of the workflows that users have in Customer IQ, but just to recap, our main thing is automating administrative work, and we look at it in two major buckets. A CRM data entry, which comes from conversations that you have with prospects and customers. So we all know there's like these awesome tools around AI note taking for virtual meetings, and we do have our own version of that we'll walk through. But there's also a lot of conversation happening in emails and tickets, and we do a lot of great work around that as well. So what we're looking at on the screen here is a sample call and a demo workspace that I've had. So this is actually a call with Wayne and AI avatar. There's me making a funny face. There's Wayne. So I had a cool conversation with Wayne. He's kind of mocking up being a prospect. We're talking about a deal with Example Co. So in every meeting, you have your AI, your meeting assistant by Customer IQ. So that's native to the platform. Every user has one. Their assistant also helps in email. So we have full coverage of the conversation. So whether I'm emailing with Wayne or talking with them on Google Meets or Zoom, we're going to get all of this great context, kind of what we build the foundation on here. So immediately you'll notice we have this call recording. I have awesome summary notes that come from this. And you did a great comparison on this. We're really proud to be a part of that. So right out of the gate, you can see we've got these great detailed notes. These are kind of geared towards sellers, so sales and customer success teams. And I'll also point out it's geared towards anyone that's doing sales. So we have a lot of founders and folks that are maybe in accounting or financial advisory services that are wearing multiple hats, but they use Customer IQ to automate on the revenue generation side. So we got this great summary. It's chalked with these timestamps, which open up this little player that I could show you if we weren't sharing screens. Really helpful to kind of scan through notes. And then if I switch over to contacts, this is where that HubSpot integration comes in. And we are huge HubSpot fans, run a couple companies. My co-founders run a couple companies, and every one of them we implemented HubSpot. So right out the gate, we knew it was important to build a deep integration, and we use it internally. So that call summary you saw syncs over to HubSpot on the contact, company, and deal records, depending on how everything is associated. And then here, without lifting a finger, we're matching with a HubSpot record. So here's Wayne, and he works at Example Co. And we'll look at what this looks like in HubSpot in just a second. But the biggest difference that we do versus really anyone else on the market is we automate the data entry of any HubSpot property. So we're talking company values, contact values, any open deal. And these are anything from open-ended text fields to drop-downs to multi-selects, and they're different in every workspace. So when companies come in, they integrate with HubSpot. They literally have a checklist of all of their properties, and they just select which ones they want CustomerIQ to automatically update. So that's what we have here. We had a great conversation with Wayne, the AI. He's using HubSpot, so that's great. He is in the IT and services industry, and this is a good example of a dropdown. So we all, I think, have this industry property, and there are many different selections you could have. And this is also something that's used in a lot of list building. So what's unique to CustomerIQ is it will update this to say Example Co is in IT and services. So that's great. So next time I do a featured email to this different sector, I've got Wayne included in that.
Is that coming from the call transcript? Like, is that like what you discussed in the meeting? It's auto assigning the industry there?
Yeah, exactly. At the course of this conversation, Wayne's telling me about what they're trying to solve, telling me a little bit about the Example Co. And as a result of that, CustomerIQ understands the context and updates any available property that we're looking for.
Cool.
Yeah. This is an open deal that we have. And we're capturing a couple of these qualification fields. So these are open-ended text where, timeline, need, budget, authority, and it's just updating these perfectly. So I'll say how this compares to other tools. There's a lot of folks think about customizing the call summary, which you can definitely do, and we work with teams where necessary. But usually the end result of what people are trying to do with that is just get data into a certain format in their CRM. Most of us have company, contact, and deal properties set up, so we just kind of take the extra step to just put it right there in that property. Cool. So aside from that, there's a couple other things that we do that'll kind of build on some of the future workflows. We also pull out highlights. So this is separate of properties and the summary. And these are any questions, competitor mentions, requests, objections, or pain points someone mentions. You can also track custom highlights. But really what we're doing here is building this contextual foundation. And CustomerIQ stores all of these highlights across every contact, every company, and across every deal, so that when future things come up, like let's say Wayne emails me and CustomerIQ is going to help me draft a response for something we'll look at in a second, it has access to all of this amazing context to make these replies just incredible, where he says like, hey, where are we at on that project? It knows what project we're talking about. If I need to draft a follow-up, I know what pain points Wayne's experiencing that he mentioned on our calls. This is really, these highlights are really what power the foundation of a lot of the more magical things that we do here. And then the last thing is tasks. So just like similar tools, we pull out tasks. We also pull out kind of when they should be done. And then these also sync with HubSpot. So just to look at what this looks like, I'm going to click the HubSpot record here. It looks like we can see this. Again, like this is happening automatically. I'm literally going from calls to not having to update the CRM and using this. So I can see like his job title is updated. And then if I switch over to the deal, we've got these qualification fields that are all automatically populated. So I know we didn't see it on the demo, just trying to save a little bit of time here, but the result is like I get on a call, I get off the call, I have all of these properties written for me, and I can just review them, update them, but it's all done, and I get notifications on what was updated, so I'm able to kind of have control over all of that as well.
How does this work across multiple calls? So if you are doing multiple calls of Wayne or multiple calls with people from Example Co, how does that work with the properties getting updated?
Yeah, so when you set up, and maybe we take a quick look at the setup here because we love HubSpot. So basically in CustomerIQ, you create properties and then you map those to what you have in HubSpot. When you set up a property, again, they can be anything. So, the ones we haven't even talked about is like CSM sentiment after a call with an account on the customer success side. Maybe the call didn't go so well, or we identified some problems that need fixing. CustomerIQ can update that sentiment to negative or neutral from positive, whatever that might be. That's also a good example of a property that we would want it to be able to override. And so by default, CustomerIQ is going to only look to update empty properties. We're just trying to fill out the contact or the account of the deal profile. But for any property, like a good example is on deals, some people have next steps. In that case, CustomerIQ can just update it at any point that next steps come up in a call or in an email.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then just to close the loop on this too, these map just directly one-to-one in the HubSpot Contextual here. So these are the properties I had set up across the different objects. And then on the right here, this drop down is just all of my properties in HubSpot. So anything I have here, CustomerIQ is listing for across the conversations, then automatically updating.
And you're also connecting to multiple objects, it looks like, inside HubSpot. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, accounts, is companies, and then contacts and deals are the three main ones right now.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. So that is that's the main kind of bit on CRM automation. So now you have that plugged in without lifting a finger. CRM has perfect data. The other thing that happens after a call, of course, is you have a call with Wayne, and now we need to write a follow-up email. My favorite thing that we do here is our email assistant actually lives in the inbox. So you take a quick look at my inbox, and after I have a call with Wayne, I have these awesome labels, which we'll dive into in a second. But one of the things is that we had drafted a follow-up email to Wayne in our draft folder. So it's exactly where I work all day long. And it's written in my voice. So CustomerIQ understands my tone and style and it happens automatically in the background when you connect. And then it also has this pretty incredible capability of pulling in content that helps us move things forward. So this is the follow-up from that meeting with Wayne. It's a great note. It says I would attach the recording of our meeting, which is really helpful. So that's that meeting recording in CustomerIQ. And then you can see this here in the call, Wayne had asked for more pricing information. So it included a link to a deck, which is amazing. And it says you can find the pricing information on slide 10. So there's a lot going on here, but basically what has happened is what maybe would take me 5 or 10 minutes to like go find that deck link, or ideally go find an Arrow's sales room link and put it in here, is now just happening instantly. So I can have back-to-back calls. All of my emails are written and they're right in my inbox. And all I do is just edit and send. So in this case, there's really nothing to edit, and I would just send it off to Wayne.
Awesome. And is this only happening based on the meetings that you're having, or is this applying to all emails in your inbox? How is that determined?
Yeah, it's both. So kind of moving through the workflow, because I have a meeting with Wayne, I get off of it, I need to send a follow-up. I'm going to have meeting follow-up emails here. But also if we look back at the whole inbox, as emails come in, CustomerIQ actually organizes my inbox for once. So it adds all of these labels. So it's going to determine if something needs a reply or if it's just a meeting update, notification, FYI, vendor, all of this. And again, everything it's doing, it's using the context that it's learned from other emails and conversations. So that's kind of the key to all of this. The coolest thing is when it needs a reply, CustomerIQ actually drafts a reply in the thread according to all of that context and whatever the person is asking for. If we look at the other, let's say half of administrative work that sellers are doing, it's really great if you are email heavy. So if clients are asking you questions or prospects are asking for different information, you have multi-threads going. Basically, it's just how do we keep that moving forward? There are some amazing stats around how fast you reply is really important. You're 21 times more likely to turn a prospect into a deal if you respond in 5 minutes or less. So with CustomerIQ, you're responding in often 5 seconds or less. So we're just automating and we can actually take a look at this if you'd like. So I'll switch over to a different inbox. I'm going to write myself an email here. And this is going to be a little meta because we're going to be, hey, Sean, talking to Sean. Any update on pricing since we last spoke? Also from Sean. So don't worry about that. This will show what we could do here. So I sent off the email. And so what's happening now, email is going to come in. We're going to see that. CustomerIQ is going to classify it into one of these different labels. And then hopefully if it needs a reply, we will draft a reply. So you can see the email came in here. It needs a reply. That's awesome. And then we'll give it a quick refresh so we can see what it drafts up for us. All right, cool. We do have a reply. This is awesome. This is exactly how I would respond. It's nice and concise. I like to keep the emails short. Looks like we've got updated pricing information, talking about a discount. That's all bang on. So there's actually, I would basically update nothing here. send it off. And what would have taken me maybe a couple seconds or minutes now just took me 1 or 2 seconds.
In this example, how does it know the pricing and all of that? Are you feeding it information in some way?
Yeah, so it gets better the more you use it is one bit. So as you use Customer IQ, as it's learning the voice, it's actually building, we'll call it a memory. And this is that contextual AI. This is like the foundation of everything we've built at Customer IQ. When it goes to write a reply, it looks for, in this case, Sean, like the user would have responded to this, and it can pull in information from there. And it could also pull in information from your content library. So this is just simply links. These can be anything. So it can be an Arrow sales room. It can be something from our help center. It could be blog posts that we've written. This is sort of like a knowledge base that it can reference that in many cases would contain the information that it referenced to that email there.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see this being really helpful for customers. I mean, obviously for sales, but like for customer support. Is that a use case that you all see?
We focus more on the success side, but if you run your support through email like this, where someone would reach out with a question, I mean, it happens to me all the time as a founder. I wear a bunch of different hats, and it certainly works. I mean, it's at the end of the day, we're drafting replies in the same tone and style as the sender, using really like the knowledge base that sender has built up. So if you often give answers up to that end, then yeah, it would work great.
Cool. The one question that has come up a lot is how you think about data privacy, security, I think in a couple of ways. So one is like, if my team is all using Customer IQ, I have customer calls and I want everyone to be able to see those and search for them and see what happened on calls. But maybe there's a call that I'm having that's a one-on-one with someone on my team that I only want to be shared between me and them. So how you handle that kind of situation. And then also, if you have any thoughts around, I think some people, like we're in SaaS, so everyone uses these and it's so normal and people are used to having calls being recorded. But I think there are obviously other industries where people are still hesitant about that. So how do you think about that and people's hesitation around like having all of their conversations being recorded?
Yeah, it's funny. This came up pretty immediately for us. We built Customer IQ for Teams from the start, really just because like we weren't the first mover on the meeting note taking side, but we knew it was a huge part of capturing the conversation, and that we knew we had to do that to automate administrative work. So it was like day one, I remember a long time ago, where immediately users are like, hey, I just had this like very sensitive call and we need to organize it. So we built a feature, and I haven't seen a lot of people do this, but we built a feature we call private meetings. So as you have a call, Customer IQ, if it identifies in the transcript that this is something that's better suited just as like a one-on-one or like what we determine a private meeting, and you can adjust these settings per workspace, it routes that meeting to a private folder where no one else can see it. So we can take a look at this real quick just to show everyone. So all of the meetings in Customer IQ are organized by folder, and folders are totally freeform, and every user has a private folder. That's what this is here. And that's what we route those sensitive conversations to. And the workspace can define what that means. So some people, for example, want like all internal conversations to go to private meetings. Customer IQ just intelligently routes at that using a classification model. And then usually the folders are broken out by team. So you'll have some cases like multiple sales teams or multiple customer success teams or just customer success and just sales. And each user sets their default folder. So for me, maybe all my calls default to sales. But if it is a private meeting, it will intelligently route to that private folder.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. What was the second part?
The second part was if how you've seen people kind of react or how you think about people being hesitant about bots or whatever joining calls or just having all of their calls being recorded these days.
Yeah. So it's amazing how it changes like day after day. When we first started, it was a conversation we had maybe periodically, and then now it almost never comes up. I think it's just becoming more ubiquitous, and it's one of those things is maybe a little uncomfortable at first to have an assistant in the meeting, but the benefits just so dramatically outweigh that uncomfortableness that it literally takes one meeting and people are like, yep, I'm sold. This is the way forward. And I think we've seen that, which is with the proliferation of all these note takers. You compared a few of them. So it's happening everywhere. I'll say the laggards, as always, are in more regulated industries, and we're actually shipping a lot of really cool features around that. For example, like we work with a good number of financial advisors and accountants and folks that are having sensitive conversations that maybe, in this case, they're not like personally sensitive. They wouldn't go to a personal folder, but there's compliance around it where we've built out, we can kind of like loosely call compliance mode. We need to come up with a good name for this, but those types of users, we do things where we log the transcripts in their systems that they are logging all their emails and all their written communication in. And we also have some cool features around the actual summaries and notes and data retention that is just more compliant in those industries. So I think it's things like that, folks like us at this app layer and that are working on those problems you'll see even more and more verticals adopt the meeting recording.
Yeah, definitely agree. Okay, cool. Anything else that you want to highlight or share, or anything you highlighted the emails, which is a thing that's that you're working on is coming soon, but anything else that you want to highlight that's coming out soon for people to check out?
No, the email is the big new thing for us, and I think that's really what is rounding out kind of our vision here on just what you can automate by having all of this context in one place. So yeah, if you are especially a HubSpot user, if you use HubSpot CRM, yeah, I think we're the deepest integration out there from what I know. Let everyone here be the judge. So if you use that a lot and you use email, which is, I know a lot of people, but especially if like you're email heavy and in a lot of cases you feel like you're drowning, our power users get hundreds of emails a day, then yeah, I think hopefully we'd be the perfect solution. We'd love to work with you.
Cool. And do you have a free trial? Can people go to your website to get started, or what's the best way for people to check it out?
Yeah, exactly. So go to the website, it's getcustomeriq.com. You can book a demo. We have a free trial. Everything's open. The trial is usage based, so you can use it as long as you want, as much as you want until the credits run out. And then we're about to launch a cool referral program around that where you could maybe use it for a really long time if you share it around. So book a demo if you want to learn more about that. But otherwise, yeah, just sign up, get started, connect your inbox, and you'll be up and running.
Well, this is really great. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.